guys, welcome back, Freedom Brigade Nation. How you doing, Andrea?
Good. How are you?
Great. You told me you weren't feeling good, and yet you are still on camera like the rock star you are, even though you're not feeling good. Thank you. The woman who never calls in sick, Andrea Wexelblatt. Thank you. Uh, you're hilarious. There is something really concerning that's happened in the state of Oklahoma, and I wonder if it's something that you have already seen implemented in your state. And what is scary, the scariest part about this to me is even conservatives that I like, that I usually align with, are having trouble using critical thinking on this.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it in other areas that we've discussed, such as the seatbelts. That was the first thing that I was like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "It's
Mm-hmm.
if you have your seatbelt." Yes, but as an adult, I will choose if I want to do that. There's actually cases where the seatbelt is why the person didn't make it through the accident, right? So that should never
Mm-hmm.
have been something we allowed the state to get involved in. Well, in Oklahoma, they introduced this bill, and actually the governor started touting it before the legislature did. It's called Bell to Bell, No Cell. It is, so they're saying, well, kids don't need cell phones in the classroom. It's dangerous. There were these generations where they didn't have it. And I get that. They're like, it takes away from learning. But here's the point. I don't feel like it's the state's place to parent the children. And that's what's happening here. The teachers can always take away cell phones if they're being disruptive. I have a daughter in high school, and she's in public schools, and she doesn't. She has a phone that doesn't have access to internet during school hours because I'm a responsible parent with parental controls on her phone. She also, there's lots of things. I don't allow too much screen time because I feel like you're right. Kids shouldn't be on screens all the time. So my kids have lit once they've used up their time, that's done. And they get to pick, their hour that they get a day, they get to pick that from a time they're not in school. And all of that is in the parental controls. But when we're in this society where you can't trust the schools, right? How many schools have we seen pedophiles in? You've got schools grooming kids. I don't want my daughter there without the ability to call me or without the ability to
Yeah.
start recording. And look at COVID. How many parents flipped out when they saw what was really being taught because all of a sudden they were seeing it at home? And so, what are your thoughts on that? So this has passed the House and the Senate, so it's going to go to the governor's desk, and he's going to sign it because he was excited about it beforehand. To me, it's not the state's place to take away cell phones during school. The teachers should take control of their classroom if they need to. But I don't want them saying my daughter can't have this device to contact me if needed. We live in a different society, and I want her to have that. I'm a responsible parent, and I think taking it away is the same mentality that takes guns away because not everybody is a responsible gun owner. That's
Absolutely.
it's and I am hearing a few conservatives say this isn't a good deal, guys. This is not the road we want to go down. The state is out of line to say that they can mandate this, but it is widely being held and welcomed by even conservatives, and to me, it's very alarming. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's scary. It goes further into, I mean, they don't want us to see anything that's going on inside the schools. And I've always had an issue with that. I mean, we've talked about with the technology there is today, why can't there be cameras? There are private schools that do that. There are a lot of schools where you can actually, and you look at daycares and stuff where there's actually cameras in the classroom and you can keep an eye on what's going on. Why wouldn't that be the case? Like, why do they not want us to be have any eyes or ears within the schools? And then with this, it like what you said, the precedent that can be set, it's a slippery slope. And with how messed up the schools are, for them to be focused on this of all things, I mean, if you're going to tell me that the phones that my child has on them is why none of all of our graduates are graduating with a second degree reading level, like the schools are beyond broken, and this seems like noise. And it seems like it's a very scary precedent that people need to be,
Well,
once they start doing this stuff, there's no taking this back. And why not have the choice from school to school, and why not have the parents more involved with these decisions?
well, exactly. It gives the schools more total control. And,
Mm-hmm.
on the cameras, I think that's a great idea. Let's put the cameras in every classroom. Now, they're going to say, well, safety, right? Because all control is done in the name of safety. And so they're going to say, well, this it's not safe because somebody, and it's a valid point to say somebody that wanted to shoot up the school could get look at the cameras. So, each parent should have an access code or whatever if they wanted to go that route. To me, I think it's better to let the kids just have their own cell phones. And then let the parents be the parents and the teachers be the teachers, and the state completely stay out of it. That I think that is exactly what needs to happen. I don't. This is a very scary precedent, and the scariest part about it is how all of society seems to embrace it because of the safety. And to me, it's just alarming that we would allow this on any level. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it. My daughter will graduate. She's got a couple years before she graduates, so I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this because I sure don't trust the schools. They have proven they've hired pedophiles before. I don't know. I mean, it's just interesting. And, I remember when my older boys were little kids, I could go to the school. And even when I first moved to this state, I had the school that encouraged us, hey, if you want to come have lunch with your kids, just show up at lunchtime and there's a table just for the parents and kids. You guys have lunch together. And I thought that was amazing. And I moved to the school district we're in now. And not only did they not encourage that, but you weren't allowed in the school without, you had to let them know you were coming. And I understand all of it's in the name of safety, and I want them to keep the kids safe, but we also should be encouraging the kids and the parents to be involved. The fact that
Yes.
I can't go to a public school and look through the library as a parent, that's disturbing. And now to take it a step further and say your kids can't even have communication with you when they're in our school unless they go through us, that is not okay. And they're passing that as a law. And that's an atrocity in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
So that's happening in conservative Oklahoma yet again. Bell to bell, no cell, and it's being passed by guys that I actually like.
Yeah.
The critical thinking's not there. They were shown
Yeah.
this thing and they said, "Hey, this is a safety, safety, safety. It's not best for them. It's not. It's taken away from learning because it's the cell phone that's taken away from learning. It's not
Yeah,
the
that's the
fact
problem with
that
the schools.
yeah, it's not the fact that our standards really stink."
Yeah.
We do have a special deal going on today. You
Yes.
can eliminate toxins and heavy metals with zeolite. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny talked about it when she was on our show. Your body is exposed to toxins daily, heavy metals, environment, pollutants, even chemicals like chemtrails. You can give yourself the ultimate detox with Pure Body Zeolite and Pure Body Extra Nano-Size Zeolite. This is something I use myself every day. If toxins and heavy metals, it will boost your energy and mental clarity, and you feel lighter, more vibrant, healthier. I love it. With our special, if you will click on that QR code or go to the Brigades and hit shop, we have a special for you. You can get it for $50 off. That's a pretty big deal. I really, really enjoy that stuff. It's very helpful. It's disgusting that we live in this society where we need to detox in so many different ways, but we do. And so that's amazing. I also want to give a shout out to America Happens and Tom Renz. America Happens always puts our show out and broadcasts us. Thank you guys. You're amazing. You do great work. If you have never checked out America Happens, the documentaries they do, they go deep dive into news, and it is amazing. You should check them out. Of course, Tom Renz is our favorite attorney, and he's stuck with us. God aligned him with us, and we're just grateful to be boots on the ground for Tom Renz. He's amazing, and we support him any way we can. You can find Tom Renz if you go to freedombrigades.com. Click on anywhere you see his picture or his name. It'll take you to his site, and you can find his stuff. I want to bring on today, though, we have a guest from Iowa. Her name is Rachel. We've had her on the show before. Andrea, you might have met her. We've met her. I think you have met her a few times. She did all the Reawaken conferences with us, and she's had her hand in so many different organizations that I've had my hand in. We continue to cross paths. And we've been partnering with Team America in a big way. And Team America, um, they tend to work while it's as the brigades, we are dealing with these school boards and city councils, and we're gathering information and fighting back. Team America tends to go a little bit of a deeper dive. Sometimes they have a better tendency to stay off of the radar. And we partner with them well in many states. And she's also on Team Iowa and is coming to talk to us about some of the stuff we're working on with Team Iowa. So welcome, Rachel. Rachel Cadena. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Great. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So tell us,
Good to see you.
and we're going to be talking about this again in a few weeks, but tell us what's going on in Iowa that, I mean, we were like, we need to get you on and talk about this. So this is the trafficking that we're dealing with on a disgusting scale. To me, trafficking, I don't even like the term because it minimizes something atrocious. It's like the word abortion. Abortion kind of sounds like healthcare, but abortion is atrociously murdering a baby. It is, and murdering
Right.
it's savagely murdering a baby. And so we say abortion, and that sounds like something so much cleaner than it is. And trafficking sounds, that word makes it sound like so much cleaner than it is. But tell us what you're finding and what you're up to in Iowa.
Yes, so I'm on Team Iowa, which is part of Team America. Jeffrey Prather, his group, and we have one gal named Stacy, and she is going around to churches and just anybody, hospitals, schools. She's in the schools now, and she's showing the movie Grid Shock, and then she has a presentation that goes with it to really tell people about human trafficking. And one of the things that's come out of it is that there are victims coming forward telling their stories, and she is actually, if they want to tell their story, then they will you know, make that part of the presentation. So there's a lot of people that are able now to come out and talk about it. And we are actually working very hard on some legislation to actually form a task force and put money on it, because it's one thing to say, oh, human trafficking is terrible, but then if you don't put money and people behind it, then I don't really care what you say anymore. And that's exactly what I told the legislators and our attorney general. I said, okay, if you're going to be serious, then let's get serious. We have a surplus, then let's put some money behind this. Okay, let's put some people behind this. And one of our great legislators, Mark Thompson, he's actually heading up a lot of that human trafficking legislation. And Emily Peterson, she was one of the mama bears, and she's on Team Iowa. She works a lot with Mark Thompson. Stuff right now going through the funnel this week that we are trying to get through, and we hope to see that we finally get a task force and some money behind this, so we can actually make a difference. So
Absolutely. So you mentioned the movie Grid Shock. I'm not familiar with this. I know you and I have talked about it, but I know that many of our viewers are not familiar with this either. Tell us about that movie.
Well, personally, I haven't yet, but Stacy's doing a presentation in Bettendorf, Iowa this weekend, and I'm hoping to make it to that one. Of course, I saw Sound of Music. I was one of the investors, so I have my name at the end of the movie on that one. So that was kind of a neat situation. But you know, there's a lot of different movies, like the one that Kevin Sorbo made with I forgot the name of it. But there's Cage No More. Cage No More. There's a lot of different movies out there that talk about human trafficking and how atrocious it is. And really, like you said earlier, trafficking is a crime against humanity, right? Like abortion, children, right? But you can, you know, if you kill a sea turtle egg, you get fined $50,000. Like, that makes no sense. So we've just normalized killing humans, and that's not okay. We've normalized abusing humans. It's not okay. So, you know.
Well, we don't just kill them, but we're completely traumatizing them. We're ostracizing them, which is another kind of torture. And it's so much more. I think if you were to just shoot them, that would be much more merciful than what happens to them when they're trafficked. So to say killing, even that, you know, the words that we use with this, it so seems to minimize it. because we're doing so much more than killing them. We're killing their soul and their spirit before we kill their body. It's not us, but it's the people doing it. It's disgusting. And we have to get in the way. Go ahead.
Right. Kathy O'Brien and Rose. Roseanne Barr is very,
yes,
very, and we become really friends. And I said to Kathy, I don't even know how you survive this. I didn't even know I was going to meet her, but I met her and I'm like, wow, how did you even survive this? But I guess the human spirit is just, I don't want to say resilient, because sometimes it's just really hard, but you got to have God, you've got to have God at the center, because that's how you survive.
Exactly. Exactly. This is, we are, God did make us to be, we're really wonderfully and beautifully made. You said that people tell their stories. So as she's going places, and I know we're talking about bringing her on as well, are people coming and saying, like, oh, I had to deal with this as well. And so there are so many more out there than people realize. Like, this isn't something that is happening to somebody you don't know, or that is 2 or 3 people from you. It's probably somebody you know. I don't think people understand, or at the very least, one relation from you. People don't understand how rampant trafficking has been. And there are many who do it for a season and are able to escape for one reason or another. And you wouldn't know, but they still have that trauma. And many more, I believe, that don't survive it.
Right. And that's the beauty of these presentations, is it brings out really amazing things come out of it, that when you go out to give these presentations, you're like, well, I'll see how many traffickers that's going to come forward. No, it's just one of those natural organic things that happen, and it just grows, and the movement grows and grows out of this, because you have more and more people who are willing to tell their stories, and that's only going to help our future generations to prevent this from happening. To really, oh, that happened in a school, let's put this and this in place, and we'll prevent, maybe that will help prevent this happening to another child in this, or another person in the same situation that person was in. So it's just amazing, everything that comes out of this.
It really is. Well, Rachel, I know that you don't have a lot of time today, but I thank you for coming on and talking with us about this. You are going to be coming back in a few weeks with some more of Team Iowa. Is that correct?
Yeah, in April. I think it's April 8th. We're going to be back.
Yeah.
With our team lead. I'm not sure who else will be on, but Stacey can talk all about what she's doing, and she can talk about all her experiences at more depth. So
I was muted and then I'm talking, so it's kind of like, that's funny. I wish there was mute in real life sometimes, but thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you in a few weeks, Rachel. We really appreciate you and everything you're doing, and we love the partnership we have with Team America, with Jeffrey, everything that he's doing. Bless you guys. That's how we're going to save this country, is by working together. And so there's a lot of mountains that we're fighting, but I do believe God's got an army working on it. So it's an honor to serve alongside you. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay,
all right.
thanks,
you're welcome. I also want to bring on, so we've got our executive director back today, Dean Sharp. Welcome back to the show. Hey, it's good to have you on.
I've been in the green room. I've been enjoying the show so far. So good. Glad to hear about what's going on in Iowa.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I can't wait to get into that even deeper when everyone's able to join us. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah,
because people don't understand everything that we're fighting on the level we're fighting it.
Oh my!
It's not just fights for our freedom; it's our freedom, but the ways that it's attacking us. It's not just attacking what we consider to be freedom. It's a way of life. It's the ability to be a human being. Yeah. The way God designed us, to live life and life abundantly. The enemy would have that be shortened and cut off completely.
I remember the verse of scripture in Jeremiah 17:9 about the human heart apart from God is very dark. And that we see that over and over again throughout history. And now we're seeing a repeat of what used to happen with the old man-made gods like Moloch that were satanistic, and child sacrifices being made. And we're seeing that in our own society, which is sickening.
Well, it's the worship of Baal.
Yeah.
And that gets into a whole different thing, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. That's right.
I do, but I am excited. So we have been figuring out how to do these brigades, and I have for years now had people come and say, "Do you provide training?" And I'm like, "Provide training? Yeah, you go to the meeting." And we've got like Dr. Gold that gave us a video on how to get credibility when you walk in the room, and I've got training on like history and how to look up information and how to do research, and we have all these videos. I'm like, yeah, we have that available. They're like, no, we need more training, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you came to me and you said, no, this is what they need, and so you have done back to basics. And these will be put out. I want you to talk about this in a minute, but for those of you that are interested, if you will join us on Substack on Freedom Brigade Nation, all of these podcasts go out there. All our articles will go out there from brigades across the country, and Dean puts articles out quite often. He will be getting his own Substack publication on Freedom Brigade Nation, and we're going to put these on there. And I think it'll be emailed directly to you. So tell us what this is. This back to basics.
Well, I get to be a coach again. I call back my university days playing ball for 4 years. I call back the exposure I had to Coach John Wooden at UCLA. And I got to thinking about this as we were working with our brigades, and I kept hearing what people were saying. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it just hit me one night when I was laying in bed and thinking, how are we going to teach these people? And I remembered Coach Wooden's principles. And some people don't want to hear this. And I sometimes I almost apologize ahead of time when I start talking about this, because people say, oh no, that's too basic for us. But we've got to start with fundamentals, and we've got to build that within all of what we do, because we are a team. And we have to build what I call, what we used to call in the court, muscle memory and team memory, that we know what to do when something happens. And we don't have to have a meeting to discuss what do we do now. We immediately move to that position, to that defensive position or offensive position. And that's what this is all about. 101 is basically teaching people how to prepare in basic form. I loved John Wooden, if I can tell the audience this. I mean, here's a guy who won 8 national championships in a row, which won't ever be equaled again on Division I basketball. And he won 12 national championships, those 8 in a row. And he'd pull in these people like Lou Alcindor, the 7'2" guy from New York City, and all these big-time All-American high school players, and they're sitting in the locker room for the first time with him and his first day. And he picks up a basketball and says, gentlemen, welcome to UCLA. This is a basketball. And he'd go into his lessons each day. Like one day early on, he'd say, men, this is how you put a sock on. And these players, I saw on HBO a special about this, how the players are looking at each other and say, what is this that we've gotten into here? We're all Americans here. But there was a science that he used behind this. And reasoning behind everything that he did. He wanted to build in the fundamentals in everything that they did. And they were winners because of that. I think the same thing is true about the brigades. And I've built the first section of this in 101, as I call it, 6 videos of training of how to get ready, who we are, what are we doing here? And then how do we get ready to go to a meeting? What are the basic fundamental things that we need to do? And so if our viewers are looking at that at some point and say, this is way beneath me, then that's fine. Don't look at it. But there are people who want to get involved and they just don't know where to go. And so I have to go back as a coach now, because I used to coach also. And you start at the basics and you start at the fundamentals. And every day you build this into the players so that by the time you're beginning the season, they know how to react. And that's what we're all about here. How to get ready, how to go, how to report, how to answer back, and how to get ready for the next meeting. That's the important things.
It's valuable information, and I think it's only going to be helpful. So I'm excited to put that out. Those of you that are on the brigades, you're going to be getting that emailed to you. I'm excited. Thank you for doing that, Dean, and for coaching all of us. That's going to be great.
Well, I get to get out of the fire for a while because I've been on the front line going to county commissioners and planning commission groups and standing up and saying, no, you can't do this. We're not going to let you, as we the people with crowds behind me and other people speaking with me. Now I get to go back and just do some coaching. And that's
please stay on the front lines as well. We need you to build and fight. Build and fight.
Yeah, well, that's it. But it's nice to get back just a little bit in the locker room and help people to do that. I think it's important and it's fun to bring people along. Last night we had a great meeting and people were volunteering, saying, "Hey, I want to get involved with this," because they can see the basics in this and the fundamentals. And
that's right.
That's what's important. So as we work across the whole nation, this is not about one particular part of the country. This is in Southern California, Northern California, Florida, New York City, wherever you are, Pennsylvania, doesn't matter. Right. Human beings are basically the same wherever you go. We got to deal with a lot of corruption and grifting that's going on by the left. And so let's learn how to react and act and lead us out of this and restore our nation.
Exactly. I'm excited. Well, and we are standing up. We just put out an article today, and it'll be, it was sent out on our Substack, and I want you to weigh in on this as well, Dean, but I think you're aware of this. Actually, I spoke at your meeting last night, and I talked a little bit about it there, but in Oklahoma, the state chairman of the Republican Party has been censured by the state budget committee. And you would expect like the Republican Party to be transparent, to have integrity. And I mean, that's what you expect. We expect the problems to come from, maybe our federal legislature. We expect the problems to come from the Democrats. But the Republican chairman has not shown a bank statement or a credit card statement to the budget committee, who is supposed to oversee finances and approve all financial transactions, his entire term of 2 years.
Yeah.
Even when told to do so, he told the treasurer, do not share that information. And he is the only one on the bank account. Him and people he has appointed are on the bank account currently. Right. And so we're addressing that many different ways. But when you have corruption, and I'm not going to, it's corruption to not be transparent. Who knows what he's doing? Surely he's not stealing money, but who knows what he's doing? The lack of transparency is what is unacceptable. And that is the type of thing that we stand up against. The budget committee censored him, and we are asking the state convention to censure him as well, which is nothing more than a public rebuke. But it's atrocious when we're seeing this type of behavior from someone that we trust and who's supposed to be representing the Republicans, which stand for honor and integrity and conservative values. I think to stand in that position is it's a high honor, and it comes with the responsibility that is completely it's just completely thrown away when you are not transparent to any degree like that. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I've found several rules to come into play when it deals with politicians. Number one, sometimes you have wolves in sheep clothing. We have a lot of people that run as Republicans that the closest they get to that is just using the letter R, and that's what they are. It's just a letter R, and they're not Republicans at all. When I first read the Republican platform in this state, I thought being a former pastor and a corporate executive, I thought, man, I'd like to see some churches that had indentures and bylaws that read this good. But you go to the capital city and you don't see any of it hardly because people aren't following it. The second thing is that if you're going to have trouble, it's always going to be along the trail of where the money flows. And that's you would think that a person who's honorable would say, hey, here's the books. Let's open them up. I welcome you to go through here and find anything you want, and I'll be glad to explain anything that you may have a question about. That would be pretty simple, I would think. And I mean, that's what I would want to do, unless I'm guilty. And then you want to try to hide it. That would be my first thought. So there, your inclination is right to say there must be something wrong here, that somebody would try
Well,
to hide this.
it does make you wonder. Now, surely he wouldn't do that, but it does make you wonder, and it's completely unacceptable to not be transparent as a Republican, anything, as a Democrat, anything. If you are a servant of the people and you are in any elected office, then you are accountable to the people, and especially the budget committee that is supposed to be overseeing the finances.
Well, I've caught senators who are Republicans when I say, I'd like to see you at some of our meetings, and they tell me, wait a minute, I'll determine which meetings I'm going to go to. I'm not going to let anyone tell me where I should go and what I should do. I'll determine that for myself. That's the wrong answer. The right answer is, I want to please the people. I want to serve the people who elected me. I'm here to represent them. Therefore, I'm going to do what's necessary to listen to their voices whenever I can and make sure that I'm doing their will, because they should have no other reason to be in the capital city than to represent us. And it's beyond me how we've allowed all of this atrocious behavior to take place without troops before us before we ever came along to stand up and say, we're going to stop this. We're going to stop it now. I'm thankful for Doge and what it's doing and uncovering and seeing but it saddens me to think of all the corruption. But it goes back to Jeremiah 17:9 again, that a heart apart from God is very, very dark, and it will do horrible things. And so we've got a lot of people that claim to be something that they're really not.
Well, as I preach often, whether I'm sitting in a political meeting or church, we've got to have that time with God every day to not become a politician and to not be susceptible to these things, because pride is a sin that any of us are capable of if we don't go and we don't stay close to God. We have to love God more than we love money and more than we love power. And we need to be getting those kind of people into office. I'm going to switch gears. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say something here just to address that. Our founders were very concerned about keeping people integrated in this nation as it moved forward. And they were, Tom Jefferson expressed that many times, George Washington, Ben Franklin, others did, saying things like it's only a Christian people that are able to drive a representative republic forward, because no other people are equipped to do that. I can see the fact that, when you look at Jefferson, for example, here was a man who was a brilliant scholar. I mean, he knew foreign languages. He knew how to debate. He knew how to deal with foreign dignitaries. He could add, he could subtract, he could do all the things that were necessary. But he was a farmer first. And if he were in our day, he would know how to work on a tractor, how to rebuild an engine, how to do simple things. He saw himself as being integrated with the dishwashers and the cooks and the mechanics and the people who were servants that grew seeds and did all of that nobody's more important than anyone else. We're all integrated together. And in this nation, we've lost that.
Yeah,
we've lost that, and we've got to get that back. And our senators and our representatives are showing us that when they come to us and say, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Don't you tell me what to do. That's a dangerous place to be in.
Well, I say that we continue to send messages as the people are becoming more active and we're paying attention. Send messages. Don't vote for them. Go and go door knock for the guy that's running against them. Let's get them out of office. Those kind of people with the attitude that they're not the servant of the people do not belong in that office. And I believe sending that message loud and clear in Oklahoma, but we need to continue because we are far from done. We've just begun.
Well, I'm disappointed. I said last night in our meeting, for example, I'm old enough that some people think that I grew up with Thomas Jefferson or something.
Oh, stop.
I've seen life in America for 6+ decades, and I've seen it deteriorate over time. I've seen us losing freedom, and young people who are coming along don't have a benchmark that I have, for example. They don't have that to compare to or contrast what we used to have. And we need to restore all of the things, and we've got to do it as a team. And that's why we do everything in the brigades. We're training people. We're going to meetings. We're trying to establish best principles every place we go, whether it's Pennsylvania, California, whatever. And we want to try to help people and learn from others as we do so. How can we best impact people and teach them that we, the people, ought to be in control in this society today?
Exactly.
That's it.
Well, I do want to switch gears. I've got something. Andrea, are you back there if I share something?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So we had Dr. Paul Marek put out today. Well, it wasn't today. It was this week. Wow. Okay. So this was sent to me. It was not this week. Okay. But he is saying that he's talking about how it's the biggest hoax in the world is the medical system. And I just want you guys to hear him talk for the first, it's like a minute and a half. I'll stop it at a minute and a half. I want you to hear this because I think it's just relevant. Everyone needs to understand and we're talking about ideologies and we're talking about critical thinking, and we need to have all the facts to be able to do that. Let me see. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to click this. Can you hear it?
No, I think you got to turn up the volume.
Oh, here we go. Hey, that helps.
Don't go to the hospital because they're going to kill you. What you got to do, you got to eat right, sleep right, get sunshine, relax, and take care of your lifestyle. Because the medical system will kill you. Mm-hmm. So basically this graph shows on the y-axis life expectancy. On the x-axis it's per capita healthcare expenditure. So us in America are proud to say we spend more on healthcare than any other country in the entire world, in the Western world. Yet look at our life expectancy. It's significantly less. Mm-hmm. We have a big problem. And what you may not know is the life expectancy of Americans has gone down in the last 3 years, by 3 years. And how did that happen? Well, according to the White House, it's global warming. Mm. The only explanation they have. And so
okay, so I'll stop it there. So global warming, to me, that's hilarious.
A lie.
Well, but here's the deal. You guys, they are poisoning us in every way they can. The globalists have been in charge for a while, and they have been very much getting in the way of what we're trying to get done and trying to kill us. They're trying to put in this 2030 agenda, which I've talked about a lot, and it's on. If you go to freedombrigades.com and it says this is the plan you need to read, you've got to go read it so you can recognize it when it comes into your community. Yeah. That is why we have our affiliates. If you go to freedombrigades.com and you go to shop, we've got Dan. They're giving he's a trainer. He was on, Andrea, was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
He's mm-hmm. giving discounts on how to take care of your body. This is a professional trainer that will help the brigades mm-hmm. take care of their body. And then we have like stuff on there from that Dr. Tenpenny gives us that helps you detox and get healthy. We've got to stay out of the hospitals. We've got to stay out of the doctor's offices, and we've got to stay out of the big box stores.
Yeah.
And as we continue to move forward, it's just important that we take care of ourselves, because if you guys are relying on the system, you're going to get yourself in trouble. There's a lot of people dying because of the system.
Well, the answer is not the global warming.
It's not global warming.
The answer is COVID. It's the WHO and the World Health System that is working against humanity now. I've been a recipient of some of that ill treatment myself with my heart. And It's been weakened because of this stupid Fauci Obama Wuhan virus, as I call it, that was planted and started on purpose to fit in with the globalist view. And when you think about it, all this goes back to the fact that these elitists don't want to see people like you and I at their country clubs anymore. They want to have this exclusively for themselves. They're tired of seeing other people around. So they want to eliminate 90% of the world population, and they've started doing that. It's amazing to see the number of children today, athletes, kids, teenagers that are in great health, dying of heart attacks, dropping over.
Right.
No reason, apparently, except it's been caused by the medical practice. I can tell you story after story. I won't do it today, but I could tell you stories of my doctors telling me, here's what you got to do to keep good health, and it's taking a bunch of pills all the time. No, that's not the answer. The answer is not in big pharma. The answer is in training, in good eating, good sleeping, and losing weight, which I've been doing, and trying to be effective in living apart from the medical system. I'll live longer if I stay away from doctors rather than go visit them.
I believe that there's a lot of truth to that. Dean, I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for joining us today. You guys, thank you for coming on the show, for watching us and coming and hanging out with us every single week. I love our audience. We get a lot of feedback from you guys, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.